Now, I'm going to preach right now. I don't want to wait another second. Right now. Ushers, bar the doors, close the doors, bring everybody inside. Amen. God is able. Tell your neighbor, God is able. See, somebody might have been going through something and needed that moment right there. God is able. He is able. He is able. I don't want us to come to church just to be in church. We ought to come to church to have an encounter with God, to hear from heaven. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have an encounter with the Lord. If you got your Bibles, join me in the book of Numbers. Amen? In the book of Numbers. Amen. I want to take a moment to wish all of the fathers happy Father's Day. I don't want to forget to do that because y'all will say I minimize the daddies in here. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers in here. But I'm going to talk to y'all later. I'm ready to jump right in this word. Amen? If you in the book of Numbers, go ahead to chapter 13. Chapter 13. Chapter 13. Amen. When you get that, say amen. We're going to read just a few verses of scripture today. I don't want y'all to hear this today. The Lord has given this to us. All I am is an instrument on this one. I didn't have nothing to do with this. I didn't write it. The Lord spoke it, and He's speaking it to us. Amen? So take this like God's speaking to you, not like Pastor Thomas is preaching, but like God has this for your life. Amen? Chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I, look at this, give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall send a man, every one a ruler among you. Now slide over to verse 25. And they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. And they went and they came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh. And they brought back word unto them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told them and said, We came into the land whither thou sent us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. And they showed what they had. And nevertheless the people be strong. Look what they said, verse 28. They said, Nevertheless the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome. But the men that went up with him said, We are not able to go against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel. Look what they said. The land through which we have gone to search is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people, look what it says, that we saw in it are men of a great stature. Verse 33 says, And there we saw the giants, the son of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight. If you would, this today, for real, turn to your neighbor and say, Neighbor, what you see determines where you go. Amen. God bless you. God bless you. Take your seat here. What you see determines where you go. I got to be honest today. There's sometimes that in our lives we allow ourselves, Christian folk, church folk, to be directed and moved and guided by what somebody else says more so than what God says to us. And as a result of that reality, many of us here in the church, even today, find ourselves going in circles. I was watching CNN the other day, and one of the reporters said and was talking and expressing that President Trump had sought to turn around all of the things that President Obama had put in place. And the lady finally said at the end of her analysis, it seems like we're just going in circles. We make progress, and progress is taken back. But the interesting thing is, too many of us in the church find ourselves doing the same thing. We make progress, but we allow what somebody says or what we think to push us back, and no sooner than we get 2 steps ahead, we take 2 steps back. Now, I know it's going to be quiet because somebody's going to say that ain't me, but the truth is, if you look at yourself in the mirror, right, all of us can find some times when we allow external factors to determine our internal operation. Too many times, many of us have been bold on some stuff when it felt good or when it looked good or when somebody says it was good, but many times we got scared when God told us to step outside of our comfort zone and do that which he had called us to do. I wish I had a witness here on this morning. Many of us, if we could be honest with ourselves, look back over our lives and we are not where we think we should be, and we're certainly not where we should be, not because God stopped blessing, but because we stopped walking. We stop walking. I'm talking about individual Christians now. Many of us ought to be further ahead. Many of us God has blessings that we haven't opened up yet because we haven't walked far enough to get what God has for us. God has some stuff lined up for us in heavenly places to manifest itself in our lives, but we find ourselves standing in place because getting to where God wants us to get takes too much work. Takes too much faith. The Bible says we ought to walk by faith and not by. All right, that was about 10% of people. Let's try it again. We walk by faith and not by. We walk by faith and not by. We walk by faith and not by. That means sometimes you can't see it, but you do it because you trust God because God said it. See, there can be some times in your life when you can't see your way, but because God spoke it, you got to walk in it. I wish I had somebody saw that right there. There can be some times in your life when you can't hear the song you want to hear sung, but you got to keep on walking because God gave you instruction to move on ahead. In this 13th chapter of the book of Numbers, we see ourselves, and we see the people of Israel, and we see ourselves, and we see the people of Israel, and we see ourselves illustrated here in the people of Israel, demonstrating the difference between walking by faith and walking by sight. Sometimes we jump on the people of Israel and say, well, if it had been us, oh, we would have done things differently. But the truth is, sometimes if it would have been us, we'd have done the same thing. Because we'd have been too busy reading the newspaper reports. We'd have been too busy reading the AJC. We'd have been too busy watching TV. We'd have been too busy watching what somebody Instagram, the Snapchatters. We'd have been too busy seeing what Facebook said, and we would have found ourselves stuck in the same place. Well, here's what happened in the book of Numbers chapter 13. The Bible lets us know the Lord spake unto Moses. God told Moses, and to Moses, now it's time. Go ahead and send men that they may search out the land of Canaan. Now, before I go any further, I want to put this in context. The truth is that the people asked God, could they send spies over into the promised land? God didn't tell them to go send spies because God knew what he had for them over in the promised land in the first place. But they said, if you read Deuteronomy chapter 1 and 22, it tell you that. They said, look here, can we send some spies over, Lord, so we can get a snapshot of what's going on over there? And God said, all right, that's what you want to do. I done told you what's over there. I told you it's a land that flows with milk and honey. I told you, I done gave you everywhere you put your foot. I done told you it's your land. I done told you everything over there is yours. But if you want to send some folk over there, go ahead and send some folk over there and bring back a report of what I've already promised. Can we see that right there? We see the problem already. The problem already is the people didn't have enough faith to trust God at what he said. And the truth is, many of us in the same place right now. God has spoken to us. And we want somebody else to co-sign on what God already said. We want to signify on what God has already promised. When God said it, if you want to get it, you got to go ahead and walk at it. Don't call your best friend and say, God told me this right here. What you think? Your best friend doesn't know what God told you. Don't call your cousin over there because they go to church once every other Sunday and say, what you think about what God said? Because they don't know what God told you. Don't call somebody else to co-sign on what God said. Trust God at his word. Because I don't know about you, but I've read 66 books and not one time have I heard God not make good on a promise. But God said, okay, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. So they sent 12 folk out, leaders from each of the tribe of Israel. And each of them outlined, I won't go through all their names, but each of them went out and they got 12 folk together and they went into the promised land. Now the reason why it was called the promised land, because God had done what? He had promised it to him. That's why it was the promised land. It wasn't the name of the country wasn't the promised land. It was Canaan, but God said it's yours. So it became the what? For the people of God, the promised land. I said, went over to the promised land and they went in and went a certain way, and the way they went caused them to go through a valley. And that valley was a big valley. It was a long valley. And every day they would get up, travel, and quit, go to sleep in that same valley. For several days they had to dwell in the valley. And finally, when they came out of the valley, they began to see what God had promised. They saw fruit that was so big that one man had to get it on one shoulder and another man had to get on another shoulder in order to carry their fruit back where they were on the east side of the River Jordan. In other words, it was so much fruit that the grapes looked like grapefruits. They were just that big because it was a place that God had given them, and God had already set it up that they wouldn't have to plant nothing. All they had to do was go over and get what God had. Now let me do a comparative analysis. When they were in Egypt, the grapes didn't look nothing like the grapes in the promised land. The grapes in the promised land were well bigger than the grapes in Egypt. They were stunned because all they had seen was scrawny little grapes. And I want to tell somebody, sometimes when you are living in bondage, everything you got is scrawny. You think, some of us think right now, I got it going on, but it's scrawny in comparison to what you're going to get if you get where God wants you to get. Can I say that one more time? If you're a child of God, don't celebrate what you got right now. Wait till God gives you what he has already ordained for your life. You might have a pretty good job right now, but trust God. God got a better situation for you. You might be doing right now okay, but just trust God, and God will blow a door open that you have never imagined if you just keep on walking where he wants you to go. Can I talk to St. Peter for a minute? We'll talk to St. Peter people for a minute. Sometimes we get stuck looking at where we are and where we've been for a while. But I stopped by to tell you, where we've been for a while ain't where we're going to be if we trust God to go ahead and move forward. In other words, we may have been stuck in a place where it seemed like we can't get ahead, but that ain't where God ordained us to be. We're stuck there because we're not really bold enough to step out and say, God, I hear your voice. I see what you're calling me to do. We're walking by faith and not by sight. So here we go. They bring back the fruit, and then they see some folk. They see some big folk. They see some giants. And really, and brother Pastor Arnold preached the other night about Goliath. I said Goliath was 9 feet 6 inches tall, but these folk that they saw over here were taller than Goliath. They were 11 feet 2 inches tall. In other words, it was the difference between looking at Michael Jordan and looking at Shaq. It was just that much of a difference. They were that much more substantial than what had been dealt with before. But guess what? The same way God dealt with Goliath, God was going to deal with this folk right here. Can I tell somebody, ain't nothing big to God, because God ain't looking at it like we looking at it. Can I say that one more time? Ain't nothing big to God, because God is not looking at it like we're looking at it. God is looking at it from on high, looking low. We're looking at it from a lower perspective. When you understand that God is not saying, well, that's a big problem Deacon Thomas got. That's a big problem Pastor Thomas got. No, God said, that's a problem I'm going to take care of if Deacon Thomas and Pastor Thomas trust me to handle it myself. So they saw these giants. And so let me put this in perspective. They saw big fruit, and they saw big giants. They saw big fruit. They saw big people. But what happened is they began to see big fruit, and they began to see big problems. But God didn't show them a problem, he just showed them a person. They made a problem out of the person. In other words, God didn't say, oh, this is a challenge too big for me, because God knew the challenge wasn't theirs in the first place. And I want somebody to understand, when you face a challenge, it ain't yours to face. You face it because you want to get in there and try to help God out. God has never needed our help to handle any situation. Any situation that got worked out, it wasn't because you worked it out. It was because God worked it out for you. I wish I had somebody saw this. Can somebody look back over your life and realize that everything that you got brought out of, you didn't bring yourself out of. God brought you out of that situation. You didn't bring yourself out of sickness. God brought you out of sickness. You didn't bring yourself out of a bad relationship. God brought you out of a bad relationship. You didn't bring yourself out of trouble at your job. God brought you out of trouble on your job. It's not us that brings us out. It's God that brings us out. It's other people. So they traveled back. They came back a different direction. And when they got back, that's why our text picks up today. They returned after 40 days of searching the land, 40 days of assessments, 40 days of taking data collection, 40 days of reporting, 40 days of information gathering, 40 days where they watched and looked at what God had already promised and what God had already given. And the Bible says they returned. And when they got back, they came to Moses, and it came to Aaron, and it came to everybody of the congregation of the children of Israel. And when they came, they gave their reports unto the congregation. First thing they did, the Bible says, is they showed them the fruit. So they said, come here, fellas, come here, y'all bring that fruit up. So here come two men struggling with all that fruit. They struggling. Come here we go. This what's over there. These are the blessings that are already over in the promised land. We don't have to plant nothing. It's already over there. And so you think that the next move would be obvious. But it wasn't obvious because people were involved. Can I tell somebody, when you let people get in between you and what God says, you're going to always have a problem. Don't let people, tell your neighbor, don't let people mess you up. People will mess you up. Tell your neighbor, don't let people mess you up. They showed them the fruit, but then they told the people and said, look here, we did go into the land where you sent us. And for real, that land does flow with milk and honey. In other words, everything in that land is as presented to us. That there's no shortage in the land. The people of Israel were familiar with shortage. They had started off as a broke down family in Palestine. They had came into the bondage of Egypt, and now they have seen shortage. But they said, it ain't no shortage in the land. Tell the people, say, look here, it is just as God said it. But here's the other part, the other shoe. The same folk that showed the fruit. I want y'all to picture these folk. The same folk that said, it's just the way God told you it was going to be. The same folk that said, it ain't no shortage, said, but the people that are there in that land are strong. I want y'all to think about that for a second. People are strong, and the cities are fortified. The cities are large, and the people are giants. That's what he said. It is as God said it would be. The fruit is huge. The land flows with milk and honey. Everything that we could possibly need is already there. But the people are big. The cities are great. The cities are fortified, and there are some giants over there. Let me see if I do it one more time. Everything is as God said it would be. God said it was going to be a land that flowed with milk and honey. Guess what? It's flowing with milk and honey. There are plenty of fruit, everything we need, all about the blessings that we'll be standing in need of, they're already there. But there's some big folk over there in some fortified cities. Then they got specific. Look what they said. Look what they said. Verse 29, it says, the Amalekites dwell in the land. And just let me give you a parallel or a description of the Amalekites. The Amalekites were some spiteful, sneaky people. They always waited on the people of God to get somewhere, and then they snuck them from behind. That's what the Amalekites did. They were some backstabbing folk. That's what they were. Some of y'all know some Amalekites today. They were folk that always waited on you not to be watching, and then that's the first thing they do is come from behind and try to attack you. That's what the Amalekites did. They said there's some folk over there who will wait and catch the weakest folk and attack. That's who's over there. There's some sneaky folk over there. But not only that, they said the Hittites over there. The Hittites, they were some people who specialized in putting themselves in a fortified position. In other words, the Hittites were great and spectacular at getting themselves where they couldn't be dug out. Now, they were entrenched operators. They were enemies that were hard to displace because they positioned themselves a certain way. The Jebusites, same way. The Amorites, the same way. All of these were folk who found themselves digging up and planting themselves in such a place that they couldn't be disposed of. And I want us to understand, if you live in this world, you're going to face some Amalekites. You're going to face some sneaky folk, and you're going to face some sneaky situations. You're going to have some folk. Anybody ever had somebody at your job that was always trying to undermine what you were doing? Oh, y'all work some good jobs there. Y'all ain't never had no problems with folk. How many of you ever had some folk in your life who were trying, you thought, you knew they wasn't your friend, but they were just nice enough to smile at you while they tried to slip a knife around and stab you in your back. If you live in this world, you're going to face some Amalekites. I got to tell somebody this right here. If you hadn't faced one yet, just keep on living because they're out there waiting on you. But then not only that, you're going to have to face some enemies that are entrenched, that you can't move out of your life by yourself. You're going to have to face some stuff and some folk that are buried in your life, and you can't move them by yourself. But what you can know is the same way God can move anything, he can move them the same way. He said, we got some enemies. And they had talked themselves out of it just about right here. But the Bible says that a man named Caleb steals the people. He said, wait a minute. Hold on. Just hold on for a second. He said, let us move right now. He knew if they didn't go ahead and move right now, that they weren't going to never move. And that's what happens in our lives. Many of us, me pastors, finna get quiet. Go ahead and turn the volume down, Jay. At the end of the day, many of us find ourselves stuck in the same place because we didn't move when it was time to move. We thought about it. We called somebody else and talked about it. We tried to get somebody to legislate us on it. We waited till somebody gave us an encouraging word about it. When God tells you, guess what? You got to go ahead and move. Tell you, if you got to move. Don't you wait on somebody to tell you what to do when God says do it. You ought to go ahead and do it right then. Caleb said, let's go right now. Let's go wait. Let's go up right now and take the land because we are well able to overcome it. Now, let me stop right here. The reason why Caleb said it wasn't because the people of Israel were equipped with supplies. He didn't say it because they had military might. He didn't say it because they had horses and chariots. They didn't have nothing but the promises of God. But I stopped by St. Peter to tell somebody today, all you need is the promises. Oh, I wish I had somebody that saw that. All you need is the promises of God. You don't have to have a weapon if you got a promise of God. You don't need a chariot if you got the promises of God. You don't need a warfare operating tools if you have the promises of God. I'd rather have the promises of God than having money in my pocket because money will get funny, but God's promises last forever. Caleb said, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's move right now. Let's don't have a council meeting about it. Let's go ahead and do it right now. Let's don't try to find and promote some generals. Let's do it right now. But the Bible says, but, that's what the Bible says. The men that had traveled with him had a contrary statement. Caleb, Moses, people, we are not able. What a testimony. What a comment for a child of God. Somebody who has seen where God had brought them. They knew that God had brought them a mighty long way. They knew that God had brought them out of the bondage of Egypt. They knew that God had parted the Red Sea when Pharaoh's army was all over. They knew that God had given them a bread from heaven. They knew that God had given them water from a rock. And the first thing they said is, we can't do it. And I stopped by St. Peter today to say some of us in here today are saying the same thing. We've seen God bring us out of nowhere. We've seen God bring us out of the bondage of sin and brought us into salvation. We've seen God bring us out of the darkness into the marvelous light of Jesus Christ. And then the first thing we say when God says move is, we can't do it. And I stopped by here to tell you can't do it. But God sure can do it. You can't do it, but God can do it all by himself. All you have to do is lock in with God and watch what God will do. Talking to St. Peter now, we've got 115 years, and if we stand here and are silly enough to say we can't do it, we get what we ask for. Because for 115 years, God has done it. And whatever he wants us to do, he will do it. We just got to trust him to operate in us. They brought evil reports and we can't do it because they are stronger than us. The enemies are greater than we are. The challenges are too much for us to face. We can't do it. And then verse 32 says, not only did they say it like that, but they got themselves organized. And they brought up a particular report. And they said, here's the report. We can't do it. But let me tell you why we can't do it. I don't know if anybody else is offended. I'm offended. I'm offended that they said we can't do it. But then they had the nerve to say this is why we can't do it. Now God has said the land is ours. God has said it is your land I'm giving you that flows with milk and honey. But they got the nerve to write a contrary report to what God has already given. Do you see how? In the Supreme Court, when somebody writes an opinion, there's another person to write a dissenting opinion. These people wrote a dissenting opinion. God says this is the way it is. These folks say this is the way it's going to be. Because we can't do it. Why we can't do it? Tell us why we can't do it. They brought up an evil report, which they searched the land of Israel. They said, here's the problem. The land which we've gone to search eats up the inhabitants thereof. Let me talk about this. While they were in the promised land, they had seen a lot of funerals. As they were sneaking in as spies, what they had seen more than once was folk carrying bodies to the graveyard. And they said, this is a hard land. We can't live in this land. Look how many folk are dying in this land. But you know what they didn't realize? That what they were watching was God clearing out some folk for them. They didn't see that what they was happening was God was moving some folk out the way so they could inherit the land that God had for them. They were looking at folk that God was moving out their way and say, that might happen to me. When you're a child of God, God is not going to protect you while everybody else around you falls down. You know why I don't worry about what they say on the news? Because that's for somebody else. I'm not worried about that because what God has for me, guess what? That's for me. And God has a cattle on 1,000 hills. I don't care what the Dow Jones says. God is going to take care of me. Why? Because I'm God's child. And I stopped by here to tell somebody else, whatever God has for you, God has for you. I don't care what the president said. They can take insurance, but guess what? God got a way of giving you some insurance back. They can raise the gas price, but God got a way of making sure your gas tank full. I wish I had somebody saw that right there. They can cut your job, but God got a way of moving you to another job, or God got a way of taking care of you some other way. What God has for you is for you. The land don't eat up God's people. The land eat up everybody else. I was talking to somebody the other day, they were talking about Revelation. Ooh, Revelation scares me. You know, this gonna happen, that gonna happen. Are you scared about what's gonna happen? I said, that ain't for me. God's wrath gonna get poured out of the world, but it ain't gonna be in the world when God's wrath get poured out no way. I'm gonna be in heaven. So why would I worry about what's not for me? Why would I get concerned about something that's not designated for my life? I'm not worried about that. It eat up folk. All the people. Say it again, this is the third time they're going to talk about the big folk. They're fixated on problems. They're fixated on challenges. They're fixated. These 10 men can't take their eyes off of the problem. But can I tell somebody something? If all you're going to do is claim to be a child of God and then stay scared, you ain't gonna never have no progress. Can I tell somebody that fear and faith, they don't live in the same place? They don't seriously, they know fear and faith they can't coexist. They don't live together. They're opposites. You can't say, well, I trust the Lord, but I'm scared. Either you trust the Lord or you don't. If you trust God, faith will burst out in your life and you will say whatever God is going to do, God is going to do. But if you're scared, you're going to stay stuck and scared. Last part, I'm going to move on because we got 2 more weeks of this. He said, then we saw the giants, the sons of Anak. Still talking about the big problems. And this is what it says. They didn't say that we were small in their sight. Look at it. It says, we were small in our own sight. How much time? You got to think about that for a second. We looked at them and we felt small. Where does that happen at? We look in the mirror and we look small. But that comes as a result. Let me tell you what that comes as a result of. That comes as a result of spiritual insecurity, spiritual weakness, and having a spiritual identity crisis. We can boast and brag on everything. But when it comes time to trust God, we don't boast in God. I saw somebody, y'all here today too, so I ain't gonna mention who it is. But if y'all wasn't here, I'd say your name. Somebody's page, and their Facebook page, it was just the biggest braggingest page ever. Oh, I'm all of this and I'm all of that. But when it comes to trusting God, you're a midget. Oh, I'm in trouble now. Oh, I'm through. I done lost it out there. We see ourselves as small because we don't see who we belong to. We see ourselves as small because we forget that we serve the God who in the beginning said, let there be light. And there was light. We see ourselves as small because we forget that we serve a God who sits high and looks low. We see ourselves as small because we forget that we serve a God who loved us so much that he gave his only begotten son to die for our sins. We forget that we are large, not because of who we are, because of who we belong to. I don't know about you, but when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't see myself no way. I see myself wrapped up in Jesus. I see myself surrounded in my Savior. I see myself behind him who died for my sins. And when I look at myself, I see Jesus. And when I see Jesus, I see everything I need. Child of God, brothers and sisters in Christ, St. Peter Baptist Church, if you see yourself as small, you ain't gonna never accomplish nothing. But if you see yourself in Christ, you can get everything God has for you. If you see yourself as small, you will be afraid of everything that comes your way. But if you see yourself as a child of God, you will know that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. If you see yourself as small, you will see yourself broke and poor. But if you see yourself as a child of God, you will know I was young, but now old, and I've never seen the righteous forsaken. If you see yourself as small, you will see yourself puttering along trying to make it. But if you see yourself as a child of God, you know that God will lift you higher and do more than you could ever ask or imagine. If you see yourself as small, you will find yourself worried about everything. But if you see yourself as a child of God, you'll know that God is a way maker. He's a burden bearer. He's a heart fixer. He's a mind regulator. He's a bridge over troubled waters. He's a battle axe in the time of battle. He's a shelter in the time of storm. I don't know about you, but I'm stopped looking at myself as being small. And I'm looking at myself as a child of God. And because I'm a child of God, God will lift me higher above all my problems. He'll lift me higher above all my situations. He'll lift me higher above bills that are due. He'll lift me higher above sickness in my body. He'll lift me higher, and he'll put me on solid ground. Oh Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. I don't know about you, but I'm not looking at defeat. I'm looking at victory. I don't know about you, but I'm not looking at going back, but I'm looking at going ahead. I'm not looking at being the tail. I'm looking at being the head, because God is able. Ain't he all right? Ain't he able? Ain't he all right? Ain't he able? He's able to pick you up, to turn you around, to plant your feet on solid ground. I've stopped crying. I've stopped not being able to sleep because I trust the Lord. I trust the Lord. And when you trust the Lord, he'll let you sleep all night long. When you trust the Lord, you don't toss and turn, but he'll rock you in the cradle of his arms. When you trust the Lord, no more nightmares, but he'll give you dreams to show you what he's going to do. When you trust the Lord, no more sad songs, but you'll have songs of praise. When you trust the Lord, there'll be no more sadness. There'll be no more sorrow, but there'll be joy. There'll be joy, joy. There'll be joy, joy, joy. When you trust the Lord, I'm going to my seat, but I want you to know one thing. When you trust God, when you keep your eyes on the Lord, when you believe what God says, he will. He will. He will. He will get you where he wants you to go. He will give you a new job. He will give you the blessings that he has for your life. Won't he do it? Is there anybody here know that God will? God will. God will. God will. God will make a way. Is there anybody here know that God will take you where he wants you to go? What a mighty God. What a mighty God we serve. He is able. Somebody turn to your neighbor and say, he's able. He's able. He's able. Say it like you mean it. He's able. If you can sing it. He's able. What you see, what you see determines where you're going. Don't go backwards. Don't go in circles. Before the revival of the night, Pastor Arnold, the elder, was talking. He was saying that life is like a classroom. That if you trust God and do what God tells you to do, you'll get promoted. But if you do it the way you want to do, you're going to get kept back. And I don't know about you, but I got kept back enough. I done stayed back. I'm ready to get promoted. St. Peter, we done got kept back a few times. It's time for us to go ahead and get our promotion. And you know, when I was little, if somebody was real smart, they would skip them. Y'all remember somebody get skipped? I didn't get skipped. Somebody else might have got skipped. But when you do what God wants you to do, God will skip. He'll move you up higher. He'll move you up higher. God wants us to be promoted so that he can give us more. So he can give us more joy. He can give us more peace. He can give us more understanding. Give us more long suffering. Give us more wisdom. Give us more understanding. Give us more material stuff too. But before we get to material stuff, we got to be strong in who we are in Christ. I just want us to understand this is what God wants for us. He wants us to see what he promises and walk by what he says. Amen. Let's stand on our feet and give God praise today. Let's give God some praise today. If you know God is good. Oh, don't hand clap and say thank you, Lord. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we come this day, Lord, to say thank you. We thank you, Lord, for your word. The fact that we can stand on it. In the midst of our trials, in the midst of tribulation, we can stand on your word because your word is true. We thank you, Lord, for the example of Caleb and even Joshua that allowed us to understand that the most important thing is to know what you said and not what we think. To know what you said and not what somebody else says. God, I pray that you would touch hearts and minds in here today. That somebody who has heard your voice in the stillness of their prayers, in the stillness of their devotion, as they ride to work or even as they at their jobs or when they're by themselves, and have heard you speak to them and you've given them instruction. Help them right now to hear you and to do what you called them to do. And then I pray for this congregation of believers that you would move us to a place of boldness, that we would stop thinking about what we can't do and stand in what we will do as we trust in you. Let it be so this day. Open up that door. Open up the windows from heaven, Lord, and then that we may walk in obedience and receive all that you have for us. Not because we want somebody to say, oh, they got a new building, but because we want to be a light in this dying world for you, so that men and women, boys and girls will come to Christ and ask the question when they come to this church, what must I do to be saved? If you're here today, when I was a little boy, they used to call it outside the ark of safety, and that's where you are if you're not saved. If you're saved, you're safe in the arms of the Lord. But if you're here today and you're not saved, if you're outside the ark of safety, today is your day to walk out of the darkness into the marvelous light of Jesus Christ. Every head bowed just for a moment as the praise team sings. Hold me close to you.